Have you ever sat down with a cup of morning coffee, only to find your mind anything but calm? The phone keeps ringing, unread emails pile up. Outside, the streets are jammed, everyone rushing. You haven't even started the day, yet you already feel exhausted. In the rhythm of modern life, we all crave something very simple: to relax. Just a deep breath, a pause to let the heartbeat slow down, to ease the weight on the mind. And yet, paradoxically, the more we chase relaxation, the harder it becomes to grasp. We strain ourselves in work, in relationships, in expectations. We believe that the more control we hold, the more peace we will have. But in truth, it is that very tension which robs relaxation from our hands. So how can we rediscover serenity in the midst of relentless pressure? Before learning how to relax, we must face a hard truth: the paradox of tension. And only when we confront this paradox directly can we open the door to genuine tranquility. The paradox of tension. When life throws challenges at us, our first instinct is often to tighten up. We work harder, think more, and try to control more. Inside, a quiet belief echoes: if I just push a little harder, I can turn everything around. And yet, the more we strive under tension, the deeper we fall into exhaustion. It is like holding sand in your palm. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. The more you tense your muscles against the current, the faster your body wears out. This is the paradox of tension. We believe that clenching harder will make us stronger, but in truth, it is what makes us weaker. Think back to the last time you were late on an important deadline. If you stayed calm, you could analyze, adjust, and find solutions. But if you panicked, blamed yourself, or complained, time only slipped away faster, making everything worse. The deadline didn't defeat you. The tension you created did. Or another example: someone throws at you a harsh criticism. If you filter it wisely, you can take what is useful and improve. But if you carry the anger all day, letting it haunt your thoughts, then that remark has stolen your peace. It was not the words that harmed you, but your grip on them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." The Stoics faced this truth directly. We cannot control the world, but we can control our response. Hardship only makes up part of it, the rest comes from within us. Tension is like a magnifying glass. It turns small troubles into grand tragedies. It convinces us we must control everything, while human strength is always limited. And when we pour energy into what cannot be changed, we have none left for what truly lies within our hands. The truth is this: not everything we strain against is worthy of our strength and peace. Relaxation is not surrender, but the choice to stop fighting battles outside our reach. The paradox of tension reminds us: to grow stronger, sometimes it is not about clenching tighter, but about letting go. Instead of being dragged into the spiral of exhaustion, we can preserve our energy for what truly matters. And if tension only drains us, then how can relaxation become our true strength? That is exactly what we will explore in the next part. Relaxation, the strength of letting go. After seeing the paradox of tension, we begin to realize something important. To face life's hardships, sometimes strength does not lie in tightening further, but in knowing when to release. Letting go is not giving up. Many fear that if they relax, they will become lazy, weak, or lose their drive. But the truth is the exact opposite. Relaxation does not mean surrender. It means keeping the mind clear, so there is still strength left to choose rightly. Imagine you are swimming in a strong current. If you thrash about wildly, your body will quickly wear out. But if you know how to loosen up, letting the water carry you for a while, you can preserve your breath, regain strength, and then swim again when the chance comes. Letting go does not kill you. On the contrary, it saves you. Carl Jung once said, "When you let go of the things you cannot control, you find true strength." This statement is like a mental map. We are not exhausted because life is too harsh, but because we keep clinging to what was never ours to hold. Only when we learn to set things down do we have free hands to grasp what truly belongs to us. I have a friend who works in the creative field. Every time his work was criticized by a client, he would become angry and lose sleep for nights. He thought that by tightening his grip and controlling everything, people would stop criticizing. But in reality, the pressure only made his work worse. It was not until he learned to let go, keeping only the useful feedback and letting the harshness pass, that he began to feel lighter. As a result, his creative output improved. Instead of wasting energy on resistance, he used it to create value. Relaxation as a life skill. The Stoics understood this clearly thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius often wrote in his journal each night, not to complain, but to remind himself, "Do not carry into your heart what lies beyond your control." For him, relaxation was not a luxury, but a daily discipline. Today, we too can practice it. When criticized, pause, take a deep breath, and ask, "Is this within my control?" If the answer is no, then we can set it down. That is what relaxation means: keeping what should be kept, letting go of what should be released. Those who know how to relax are often the strongest of all. Look at the bamboo in a storm. It does not break because it knows how to bend. Flexibility is not weakness, it is proof of resilient life. In the same way, in daily living, those who can let go are not easily shaken by a harsh word, a failure, or an unexpected storm. If relaxation truly is a form of strength, then how can an ordinary person hold on to it amid relentless hardships? The answer we will find in the journals of a philosopher-emperor, Marcus Aurelius. Serenity in the face of hardship. Throughout history, there have been individuals forced to live amid storms, and it was precisely the way they stood firm in adversity that left timeless lessons. One such figure is Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor of Rome. An emperor in the storm. The reign of Marcus Aurelius, from 161 to 180 AD, was far from peaceful. The Roman Empire faced endless wars along the northern frontiers. A devastating plague, later known as the Plague of Galen, claimed millions of lives. Within the palace, political schemes and betrayals lurked at every corner. In other words, he had to endure hardships 100-fold greater than what we face today. And yet, in the midst of all this chaos, Marcus left behind meditations, not a triumphant epic of victories, but pages of journals filled with serenity. Wisdom from meditations. Marcus wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." These words serve as a reminder. We cannot command the storms, but we can choose how to steer our own ship. Serenity does not come from the world outside becoming gentler, but from keeping the mind from being swept away. He also wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Or, in another translation, he noted, "You can choose not to have an opinion. You don't need to judge the event that causes you pain. Leave it alone, and it will disappear." These were not merely words of advice, but remedies he himself used to keep his mind clear during the most stressful of days. Connecting to life today. We may not rule an empire, but each of us has our own kingdom, work, family, relationships, and we too face our own battles. A harsh critique from a boss, a failed contract, a broken relationship. If an emperor amid wars and plagues could preserve serenity of mind, then surely we, in modern life, can train ourselves to do the same. Imagine this. Instead of losing sleep over a harsh email, you calmly reread it the next day. Instead of drowning in despair when a plan collapses, you pause, breathe, and find another way forward. That is how we apply Marcus-style serenity to real life. Serenity is not coldness. It is important to understand. Serenity does not mean indifference. Marcus Aurelius still grieved when he lost loved ones, still worried about the fate of his empire. But he refused to let grief and worry become chains that bound him. He acknowledged his emotions, but did not let them rule his life. Serenity is the art of living with hardship without being consumed by it. And from Marcus Aurelius's lesson, we can draw an even simpler, more familiar image: nature itself. Often, nature teaches us best about softness and relaxation, the very qualities that allow us to endure all hardship. That is what we will turn to in the next part. Lessons from nature. When we observe nature, we sometimes realize that endurance in life does not come from rigid strength, but from softness and flexibility. Look at the bamboo in a storm. When the winds rise, it does not stand stiff in resistance, nor does it break. It bends, sways with the wind, and then rises again once the storm has passed. It is precisely this flexibility that saves it. If bamboo were as rigid as stone, it would have shattered long ago. Humans are the same. When hardship strikes, if we only know how to stiffen ourselves, we easily fracture. But if we know how to bend, how to loosen, then we can endure and stand firm. Relaxation is not weakness, it is the flexible strength that helps us weather the storm. Water gives us another image. Water is soft, without a fixed shape. Yet this very softness makes it enduring. Over the years, water can erode rock, pierce through mountains. It does not rely on instant force, but on patience, on its unceasing flow. When we relax, we become like water. We do not need to win or lose immediately. We only need to keep flowing, to keep moving, and eventually, we will carve out our own path. And what about the clouds? Clouds pass over mountains without clinging. They drift freely, lightly, without resistance. When we learn to let go of what does not belong to us, our minds too will become like the clouds, free, serene, unbound by needless burdens. Nature never strains itself. It simply follows its laws. And it is this absence of strain that gives it power. Humans often forget this truth. We believe we must tense up to survive. But nature has shown us, it is through relaxation that life endures. And if nature has taught us the art of softness, then modern life reminds us of this. Relaxation must not remain only as philosophy, but must become a skill we practice each day. Before moving on to the next part, I warmly invite you to share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel. For who knows, your own reflections may become an important piece in our shared journey of learning. Practical applications in modern life. Philosophy becomes meaningless if it does not touch daily life. Relaxation is the same. It cannot remain only in books or ancient teachings, it must become a skill practiced every day. When someone attacks you, the natural reflex is to react immediately, argue, defend, or strike back. But try a different way. Pause for a few seconds, take a deep breath. That small pause is a shield for the mind. It gives you enough time to choose a wise response instead of being pulled into the spiral of anger. When you receive a harsh email, instead of replying in a burst of frustration, step away from the screen for a few minutes. Walk, drink a glass of water. When you return, you will realize that many of the words swirling in your head do not need to be written at all. Everyone has experienced failure, missing a project, losing an opportunity, or ending a relationship. The natural feeling is sadness and disappointment. But if you let your mind spin endlessly in blame, you drive yourself into a dead end. Try writing your feelings in a journal. Write them down to see clearly. What is within my control? What is not? This act itself is a way of relaxing the mind. It separates pain into what must be learned and what must be let go. In modern environments, we are often obsessed with productivity. Yet the paradox is this: the more we force ourselves to work without pause, the less productive we become. That is why many psychologists recommend a simple technique, the sacred pause. Every 60 to 90 minutes, stop for 3 to 5 minutes. Stand up, stretch, breathe deeply, or simply look out the window. You will find your mind clearer and your ideas flowing more easily. In this case, relaxation is an investment in long-term focus. Neuroscience has proven that when we relax through slow breathing, the parasympathetic nervous system is activated. Cortisol, the stress hormone, drops. The heartbeat stabilizes. The brain gains the conditions it needs to process information more wisely. In other words, relaxation is not just a feeling, it is a biological mechanism that helps us recover and grow stronger. A harmonious family is not one without conflict, but one where each person knows how to relax in listening. When the other speaks in anger, if you immediately strike back, the fire grows. But if you loosen up, stay silent for a moment, then reply with calmness, the anger soon subsides. In friendship, in love, in the workplace, relaxation not only saves you, it also saves the relationship. Think of relaxation as a vaccine against burnout. Each day, give yourself a small dose, a slow breath, a page in your journal, a quiet walk. Small in itself, but accumulated, it becomes an armor that helps you face relentless pressure. And from here, a natural question arises. If relaxation is so essential, how do we turn it into a sustainable habit instead of something we only practice when exhausted? The answer lies in the next part. Relaxation as a form of discipline. We often think relaxation comes naturally, when work is done, when problems pass, when we finally have a long vacation. But in reality, if we only wait, we may never truly relax. Because life always brings new tasks, new challenges, and new pressures. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius, in the midst of war and plague, still made time to write in his journal every day. Not to complain, but to train his mind, to record what he could control and what he should let go. That very habit became a discipline that helped him remain serene in the storm. This reminds us, relaxation is also a form of discipline. It does not arrive by accident, but through conscious practice. The discipline of pausing. In a world that constantly urges us to do more, faster, stopping is, in fact, an act of courage. It requires discipline to tell yourself, I will breathe before I react. I will rest before I collapse. In arguments, in tense moments, the discipline of relaxation is the courage to remain silent for 5 seconds before answering. It sounds small, but those 5 seconds can save you from many regrets. You can begin with very simple practices. A 5-minute meditation each morning, focusing only on your breath. Asking yourself whenever stressed, Is this within my control? If not, set it down. Creating deliberate pauses, turning off phone notifications for an hour, walking without headphones, or eating one meal slowly. At first glance, these may seem small, but like going to the gym, it is the repetitions that build true strength. Some think relaxation is a weakness, but in truth, to keep your mind from being swept away by anger, fear, or pressure requires immense strength, the strength that comes from inner discipline. The untrained person reacts by instinct. The one disciplined in relaxation responds by choice. And that choice is precisely the freedom that Stoicism speaks of. Freedom over your own emotions and reactions. And now, as you understand that relaxation is not merely a feeling but a discipline, I leave you with a profound message. Life does not become less harsh, but we can choose to strain ourselves less. A final reminder. Recall the images we have walked through together on this journey. The person thrashing in the sea, only by loosening up do they rise to the surface. The bamboo in the storm, bending down only to stand tall again with strength. The flowing water, soft and patient, yet carving its way through stone. All these images remind us of one truth. Relaxation is not weakness, but the most enduring strength with which to face hardship. Life will never cease to be difficult. There will always be overwhelming work, complicated relationships, and unexpected failures. We cannot make the storms disappear, but we can choose how to pass through them without exhausting ourselves. Relaxation makes this possible. It does not turn us into quitters, but into people who conserve energy for what truly matters. It gives us the clarity to distinguish between what lies within our control and what must be released. It makes us like bamboo in the storm, like water before the mountain, like a serene soul in the midst of tempests. And then you will come to see something simple. Life does not become less harsh, but you can choose to strain yourself less. That is true freedom. If this message resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel, not only to follow future content, but as a gentle reminder for yourself. Each day, you can choose serenity over tension, and perhaps that choice will be the very first step on the long journey to reclaim freedom of mind. Remember this: you do not need to be as unyielding as stone. Simply be as supple as bamboo, as patient as water, and as light as the clouds, and you will pass through every storm.